Do you think Brock Purdy's the problem?
Absolutely not. Brock Purdy's not the problem. And two things I do want to do. I want to do the boring statistical aspect of it, where he is ninth in passing yards. I want someone to tell me the last time a 49er quarterback was in the top 10 in passing yards midway through the season. I can't remember last time. It was not Jimmy Garoppolo. Tell me a last time that a 49er quarterback was second or third in QBR. Tell me a time a quarterback was either first or second in rating, right? And, one thing I want to keep before we go on is the turnovers. And we can get to that in a little bit, because I know that's been a point of contention with 49er fans. And some people will ignore it, but I think this is a transition of what might be to come with this offense, with Brock Purdy. I think you're going to have to live with the playmaking, and that also comes with higher risk turnovers. I think it's just part of the game. I don't think it's a regression thing. I don't think it's something that needs to be fixed. I think really? It's a situational thing. I think it's a situational thing, honestly. I think it's something that can be correct. To say that he has a turnover problem means that he is doing it throughout the game. To me, they're happening at the end of the game.
The worst possible moment.
But situationally,
pressure moment.
Correct. And as a young quarterback, I've seen a lot of statistics that says that he hasn't played a lot from behind, right? And I did the snap count and I looked at it. It's the equivalent of almost 4 drives.
Okay.
Give or take. So we're basing his whole entire trajectory.
So life has been good on him. Life has been real good for him, essentially. So he's gone 10, 13 starts, and he's never really had to play from behind. And now he does, because a couple people are hurt and the defense is down a little bit, and we're learning things.
And I think Kyle's learning things too. I think that in my mind, Kyle is seeing what he can get away with Purdy, and he can see what he can get away with Purdy. And I think, honestly, what Purdy needed to do, I'll give you a good example. That second interception, the back, to me, that was the game's kind of over thing when he threw that interception. To me, he had Christian McCaffrey for a 7-yard gain. Easy. Just throw it. 7 yards, right? And it would have been 2nd and 3 or whatever it was. I think that when Purdy gets more experience, he's got to learn that he's got to take what the defense is giving him in the fourth quarter. And it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be consistent, and he can't turn the ball over. And that is something that either he's going to grow from or Kyle's going to break it into him. I'm an optimistic fan, right? And so to me, if he was throwing those in the first, second, third quarter and the fourth quarter, I would have been more concerned, but I think he's situationally learning. And one thing I've seen from Brock that I saw last year was that rollout to the left, right? When he got in trouble, he's climbing the pocket a little bit more. So optimism that I see is that he learns from his mistakes. Now, unfortunately, he is learning as they're losing games and going along, which is not ideal, but he's learning.
Can I say why I think he's the problem?
Yes.
Okay. So I think when they're rolling, he's part of the solution. But they have a very specific way that they roll. They get the lead early. They go up 7, 10, 14. And then their defense really takes over and forces a turnover to puts the other team in a bad spot. And all of a sudden on offense, you can run the ball. You got play action. You got a lead. It's not easy, but it's as easy as it gets to play quarterback. And then eventually, sometimes they can put the game away before the fourth quarter even starts. So he's great under those circumstances when everything's going great and the script works. But that's not football. You can't do that every week. And now we've seen a couple injuries, and now he's in some games. He's losing late. He doesn't get the lead right away. And maybe it's the offense that's not built for this, but he seems like he's choking. Maybe that's a little unfair to say so early in his career, but the last few weeks, all those turnovers in the fourth quarter, I mean, if it were Jimmy Garoppolo, we'd say he choked. But for Brock, we give him grace because he's 23 years old and he's young. I think he choked. And I think what's scary is I'm looking at his pro football focus grades for his career. First 3 quarters, 84, 9th best among quarterbacks. And then fourth quarter OT 55, that's 30th. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is all small sample size stuff, but it's alarming.
So I would say that, to my defense to that would be that it is a small sample size. I would also push back and I would say that, to me, I'm an optimistic guy. I think the 49ers will be fine. The two areas that I have concern is that Kyle's lack of adapting when his players go down, certain players, right? And I think Debo is one of them. I think what I have seen, and I think the blueprint is out on the 49ers, is that the first 2 downs, you have 5 linemen on the box, you prevent any sort of run up the middle, and then they are putting 8 people around on coverage on 3rd down and daring him to throw. And I think that, to beat it, and I saw it done once at the Cincinnati game, was like a play action boot right away from those 5 linemen, 1st down, not throwing and putting Christian McCaffrey out in a receiver. And I think part of it, Christian might not be 100%, so he may not want him to play receiver. But to me, these are simple fixes that Kyle's not even doing during the game. He's just ramming it right in the middle, the first few downs, and he's telling Brock, go make a play, which he's doing more often than not. But that stuff catches up to you in the 4th quarter, Grant. And I think you can't scheme certain things. And I think part of the problem for the 49ers is that they can't scheme the 2 areas that are the most important, is that their offensive line is not very good at blocking anymore, run blocking. And statistically, they're 20th for pass blocking and pass protection. I think they're 20th in pass protection. They're 17th. So they're the bottom tier in both run and pass blocking, both of them. They're both. And the other flip side is that coverage.
Okay. I want to come back to Brock real quick before we move on to the next topic. The way I look at it is, like, I understand people highlighting the good things he's doing, and he has done a lot of good things. But I feel like this is it's a harsh world. It's a harsh reality, and he plays quarterback in the NFL. He's lost 3 games in a row, and he's committed 6 turnovers in these games. If this streak continues, he's going to get benched. And I'm not saying it will. But if it's 4 losses and 8 turnovers, if it's 5 losses in a row and 10 turnovers, like, eventually you pull the plug. And that's why I feel like it's a very serious point in young Brock Purdy's career. I don't necessarily expect him to beat Jacksonville. Doesn't mean he'll play poorly, but doesn't mean he won't, especially given what he's been doing the last few weeks. So whether or not he's the problem, he has a problem. He needs to turn this around right now, or else.
My rebuttal,
you know what I mean?
Where are those quote unquote Jimmy gimmies for Brock? Why does Brock have to throw every single pass, in triple coverage, make a dime throw? Where are those quick? Where's the Jimmy offense? Where is it?
And if you want Brock to do better in the 4th quarter, like, practice a 2-minute drill.